Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. By now, you have no doubt heard the big news. Mayor Adams has been indicted, and I am going to be analyzing that in just a minute with the one and only Dominic Carter, who just did a great job for the last hour. And I am going to get his take on what we're about to experience. I'll also offer you my take and invite you to call in at 646-720-0635 with your reaction. That's 646-720-0635. Two things I think it's important to keep in mind. Well, one thing I'll say first. It is very interesting to me that so many of the people that are always for criminal justice reform and de-incarceration and letting people out of prison, it's remarkable to me that those who have championed criminal justice reforms for years, namely AOC and Brad Lander and all these other progressive politicians, are now the very same people calling for the mayor's resignation without even knowing what's in the indictment. And to me, that goes to show you exactly how hypocritical someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. Now, I do think there will ultimately be a special election, as I was describing to Rita Cosby and Dominic Carter in our breaking news coverage of this a couple of hours ago. If Adams refuses to resign, and I don't think he's likely to do so based on the statement that he put out a little while ago, which I'll play for you in a minute if you haven't heard. I do see an enormous amount of pressure, not just in New York State, but nationally, on Governor Hochul to remove him. If Governor Hochul doesn't remove him, then there is an inability committee, which is essentially stacked with all Mayor Adams' political adversaries that would have the ability to declare him unable to do the job as mayor, and they'll remove him. So what happens then? Then there will be a nonpartisan special election within 60 days, and Jumaane Williams would be the acting mayor for that 2 months. That's something that should frighten everybody. As nice of a guy as Jumaane is, he is completely unable to do the job of being mayor of New York City, and his policy priorities, especially when it comes to law enforcement and things of that nature, are totally out of whack. Now, for the right-of-center New Yorkers, there are a lot of viable options who have talked about running in the nonpartisan special. First and foremost, you have my colleague Curtis Lewa. I think he would probably look to run. Some people have talked about the owner of this radio station, John Catsimatidis, looking to run. My friend John Tobacco, who was the candidate for New York City Comptroller a couple of years ago, he would probably run. Joe Borelli, the minority leader of the New York City Council, he said if there's a nonpartisan special, he would run.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everybody. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Obviously, the lead story that we're talking about in New York is still the looming indictment of Mayor Eric Adams, which is going to be unsealed in just a matter of hours. He's expected to turn himself in to authorities next week. If there is a vacancy, either brought about because of Mayor Adams resigning himself, or Governor Hochul removing him, or this inability committee removing him, I think we are going to say that we lost Eric Adams, because I'll tell you, the guy that would become a very strong contender for a special election, if this comes to fruition, is none other than Andrew Cuomo. From what I understand, he has been salivating at this prospect for over a year. He has been licking his chops, waiting, lying in wait, waiting for this opportunity. And I think, given Andrew Cuomo's closeness to big real estate in this city and to the construction unions and to a number of other entities that are going to make a special election a very difficult thing for someone that doesn't have any organizational support, Cuomo is going to be very tough to be reckoned with. I want to urge you, because I know there's going to be a whole slew of unimpressive candidates running in this special, don't get razzle-dazzled by Andrew Cuomo. Please do not forget about his role during COVID. Don't forget about the nursing home deaths. Don't forget about the lockdowns. Don't forget about the lying. Don't forget about the fudging of the numbers. And don't forget about the fact that he used one of the greatest crises in American history to enrich himself by using his taxpayer-funded staff to write a book for which he got paid $5 million and got to keep the money. Andrew Cuomo is bad news, and the Cuomos have been trying to get into Gracie Mansion for 50 years, and this might just be their best opportunity to do so. So be weary of Andrew Cuomo and be on the lookout for the old razzle-dazzle. By the way, if you're a right-of-center New Yorker, you should absolutely not be fearful of multiple right-of-center candidates running. I mentioned that John Catsimatidis is going to be probably asked to run. Curtis Lewa, I know, is running. Joe Borelli is probably going to run. John Tabacco is going to run. Because with ranked choice voting, you could rank John Tabacco first, Joe Borelli second, Curtis Lewa third, or any other combination, and you would not be siphoning off votes one from the other. We'll see what happens.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
The most important job of any mayor of New York City is the fact that you basically hire and fire everyone that hires and fires everyone else that works in the city, except for the lifetime civil servants that are apparently unfireable. And the next mayor is going to come in, whether it be a month from now, a week from now, or come January of 2026. And I'm sure they're going to want to bring in their people. As we go through that process, and we saw with the Trump administration how crucial the personnel is policy axiom in politics is, I want to make sure that we keep in mind that there are some very good people in the Adams administration. And whatever mayor comes next, whether it be a Democrat, Republican, or an independent, I hope they will keep the real stars of the Adams administration. Now, who are those stars? It's difficult to imagine that there are stars in an administration where people keep getting indicted or resigning or being raided by the feds. Number one on my list is the commissioner of the Department of Buildings, the former Staten Island Borough president, former councilman, James Otto. This man is as close to a model public servant as I've ever seen. Not only does he have just exemplary character, not only does he have an encyclopedic knowledge of New York City government, but in a relatively short amount of time, he's managed to be able to turn that Department of Buildings around from an agency that was mired in nothing but bureaucracy to an agency that's actually responsive to the needs of city government. The other person is not a commissioner, but I think there was a good chance that she was going to be the commissioner of the next, the chairperson of the next Charter Revision Commission, and that's Diane Savino. She's a senior advisor to Mayor Adams, and she was the executive director of the most recent New York City Charter Revision Commission. Diane, you could basically take everything that I just said about Jimmy Otto and reverse the genders, and they would hold true of her. I hope whoever the next mayor is ends up holding on to her. And she may not appreciate me sharing any personal conversations that I had with her, but I said to her yesterday when this news broke that I was thinking about her, and she responded exactly the way a public servant should and said, the city is more important than any of the electeds. Tomorrow morning, I will be in City Hall to do the work of the people. That's exactly the kind of mentality we need more of in City Hall. I also think the commissioner of the Department of Sanitation is probably someone worth keeping. And there are a number of other areas where I think Adams has made very good picks.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WNBC.
Local Spotlight.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recent indictment of New York City Mayor Eric Adams has undoubtedly rocked the city. But as we digest this news, I think it's crucial to remember that there are other significant investigations still looming. One of the most concerning involves our very own New York City Sheriff Anthony Miranda, who's an old pal of the mayor, who was a police officer with the mayor, and who was involved in that group, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, with the mayor. Now, Sheriff Miranda is under investigation by the Department of Investigation, DOI, following allegations that he solicited donations for law enforcement organization that he leads, the National Latino Officers Association, in exchange for looking the other way on certain enforcement matters. If these allegations are true, it would mean that instead of upholding the law, there's a possibility he was using his position of authority to benefit himself and his organization at the expense of the very people he's sworn to protect. To be clear, the NLOA is a group that represents both uniformed and civilian members employed by law enforcement agencies at the city, state, and federal levels. As the association's chair, Sheriff Miranda's role carries weight and obviously some influence. The idea that someone in such a trusted position might be using that influence to serve his own interests rather than the public's is a serious matter indeed. But let's also remember something fundamental to our justice system. Everyone, including Sheriff Miranda, is entitled to the presumption of innocence. These are allegations at this point, nothing more, nothing less, and it's up to the investigators to thoroughly examine the facts. Now, there's another layer to this story. The DOI is also investigating whether the sheriff's office improperly seized cash from unlicensed marijuana shops during recent raids. These are shops that have been popping up all over the city, and while seizing illegal goods is part of the job, there's some dispute about whether Sheriff Miranda and his office handled these seizures by the book. And during a recent city council hearing, Miranda claimed that his office hadn't seized any cash, but instead that the New York City Police Department was responsible for the vouchering process. However, some union officials have contradicted his statements, suggesting that deputies were, in fact, asked to voucher cash and products. If there's truth to these claims, it raises questions about whether there's an issue of transparency and integrity within the sheriff's office. The whole situation speaks to a larger problem we've seen over and over again in politics and law enforcement. Those in positions of power are sometimes tempted to use their influence for personal gain, which can quickly erode public trust. Wishing everybody the best here. Stay vigilant and stay fair.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.